Hi guys, welcome to the Fashionpreneur Talk with Gitana Styling podcast. If you don't know me, my name is Sandra. I'm a fashion stylist, a podcaster, and a business consultant. And this podcast is about having genuine conversations about fashion entrepreneurship and getting your questions answered. So if you have any questions at all, please email me at info@gitanastyling.com. Gitana is Gitana styling.com. I will leave a link below for you anyways, okay? Now, I want to invite you to join us inside our free Facebook group, Fashion Entrepreneur Club Hangout. In there, I answer questions, I share resources, I host events. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link also for you. Last but not least, I have a free resource for you that is great if you're just starting your business and you don't know, the steps to follow and put together a plan, or maybe you have been in business for a while, but it's not really working well, it's not really working as you expected, then these guides are for you. They're completely free. I'm gonna leave a link below. It's just 3 guides that you get via email, and I walk you through the process. You can create that plan that really works for you and your business. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get started with the podcast. Hi guys, welcome to this episode. I have such an amazing guest with me here today. I want to introduce her. Her name is Julia O'Mara, and she is the co-founder and COO of PICKLE. Now, if you don't know about PICKLE is the peer-to-peer rental marketplace, making it super easy and affordable to rent high quality clothing and accessories within your community and beyond. So let's say you have a Chanel bag, you can go ahead and rent it there. You can lend it, right, and rent it, or you can rent and grab it yourself for the weekend, okay? So I want to tell you some numbers because it's really impressive what Julia has done with this company. In less than a year, PICKLE cultivated a community of tens of thousands, okay? And she brought 100,000 plus items from 2,000 coveted brands in circulation, okay? And she has powered very lucrative side hustles, which is why I have her here today, because I want her to share this information with you, okay? She has been recognized by the likes of Forbes, like Forbes 30 Under 30, and Inc. Female Founders List 2024. So I'm super happy to have her here. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Super excited to have you. It's really impressive what you have done, and we're super excited to share this info. Tell us a little bit more about you and your background, because I found that very interesting.
Sure, absolutely. I have a bit of a non-traditional background getting into the fashion space. It has been a little bit of a windy road, but super exciting. So starting back from college, I went to the University of Pennsylvania undergrad. I actually studied material science engineering there. I pivoted away from that engineering degree clearly, but I did also study entrepreneurship there. So a little bit of foreshadowing of my future career, which was great. And I played lacrosse in college, which definitely built some great kind of entrepreneurial resilience and competitiveness when you're thinking about building a company. Right after school, I moved to New York City and I started working at Blackstone, really on the tech side of finance, working in different data analytics projects with their fundraising and real estate teams. That's actually where I met my co-founder, Brian McMahon. We worked together at Blackstone for a few years before we jumped ship to start PICKLE. And PICKLE initially started as a different platform. We had initially set out to help customers or consumers make better purchase decisions by using social polling. So the idea was that we would allow people to crowdsource opinions and de-risk their purchase decision by posting a poll that would say, I'm in the market to buy a new dress, a new pair of shoes. Should I buy option A, option B, option C? And then people in your community with similar style preferences would vote. And what was really interesting about this platform was people started using it in a different way. They started commenting on the polls and recommending items that they already owned in their own closets. They would say, this is my favorite brand. You absolutely have to buy this dress. And people would even comment and say, oh, you can just borrow it from me instead of buying it. And this was really interesting to us. And we started doing some research in the rental space, and nobody has really tackled this peer-to-peer area where we have all of these underutilized clothes and assets that are sitting in our closets and in our homes. And how amazing would it be to circulate those? We used to share clothes when we were children and in high school and everything. And you grow up and you go to a city and, it's can't do that as often, but those clothes are right in your neighborhood. And so we pivoted over and launched the peer-to-peer rental marketplace that we are today. And we launched that about 2 years ago and had a really exciting year of growth. We were incredibly scrappy. It started out with just my co-founder, Brian, and I. We had a few interns and people along the way to help, of course, but it was super small and scrappy. And we worked really hard to just build the base of the business that allowed us to then fundraise. We were able to bring in some VC capital last year in the summer into fall, and then have been growing and building out our team end of 2023 into 2024, and have had a really exciting first half of the year.
Wow, that's amazing. And what have been some key points in building this business? Because, we have a lot of entrepreneurs who are just starting out and they're just scared of this whole process. Just, share with them some key points in growing it.
Absolutely. And a marketplace is a really interesting business to build because you always have to think of both sides. You have to think about the people that are looking to circulate their items on the lender side, and you have to think about people that would also be interested in renting their items from those lenders. And what's great about our marketplace is we have people that love participating on both sides. So it makes it a little bit easier because when we are sourcing a user and getting somebody to come onto the platform, they often are very interested in participating on both sides of the marketplace. But with our specific business, we had a very big focus on building up the supply side first. So before we could tell everybody to get onto Pickle and rent, we needed to make sure that there were some amazing pieces for people to come on and actually shop. So the first thing we did, we got really scrappy in New York. I called up my friends and I said, I'm coming over to your apartment and we're going to take a bunch of photos of your items in your closet and let's get them listed. I'd love for you to be some of the first people trying to rent out their closets on Pickle. So it started at a very, very unscalable tactic, would be a very big recommendation to people looking to start their business. You have to do things that don't scale at the beginning. And the reason why that's so helpful is you will learn a ton by doing that because you'll be face to face with your customers and you'll acquire some really interesting feedback from those people as you're helping onboard them onto your platform or just learning more about the problems that you're solving with your business. So we focused on building up the supply side. We also started expanding and thinking about who are the women that we can target that are super passionate about fashion, have an excess of clothing maybe in their closets. And these were women that are in the fashion space or fashion adjacent. Often they were interested in the creator influencer side of things. So we went and tried to source different micro and nano influencers in New York City and say, hey, we'd love to help you get your pickle closet started. Let's do a photo shoot in Soho. We'll meet you at this corner street and we'll take some photos, help you get those listed on your closet. And those were some of the really scrappy ways that we even just kickstarted the platform. And a big learning there was just getting that initial feedback and making sure that we were quickly iterating on the basic functionality of the platform based on those early adopters on both the lender side and the renter side. The renters that we were adopting at first also came from some of my friends and people that were in our inner circles, amongst both these micro creators and nano influencers who had a lot of different events that they might need new outfits for. They were also interested in both lending out their clothes and renting from other people. So those were some of our early customers that we were able to adopt. Again, got those great pieces of feedback. And then immediately right away, we started doing different data analysis to understand how we were growing as a company and which metrics we would need to focus on in order to continue that growth. So things that we would be focusing on were volume of supply as well as quality of that supply. So we would look at what are the brands that are getting most frequently rented on Pickle and how dense is the supply of those brands? Do we have enough of those in order to reach the demand that we're seeing on the platform? And if we weren't seeing enough in that supply, what marketing messaging could we focus on to encourage our users or new users to upload those pieces? And so we used a lot of that data and customer feedback to quickly iterate on the process and then build from there. My co-founder and I also, we were very involved in every aspect of the business. So because it was only two of us and we, didn't have capital or resources yet. We had to do every function of the business, including marketing and growth and deliveries. We were delivering the pickle rentals to our customers early days for around 7 months. And the best part about that was we talked to every single one of our customers at their door, and we would learn how they heard about us. We would learn what their pain points were. We would learn what we could improve upon. And it was incredibly valuable. And it also showed us how people were learning about pickle. And they would often say, oh, my friend told me about it, or I saw this other person wearing a beautiful dress. I asked her where she got it, and she told me a bit of how she rented it on Pickle. And that gave us a really good key indicator that the organic growth and that word of mouth circulation was going to be super important for us as we continued growing the platform forward.
Yeah. Wow. I love the way that you explain it, because it takes you through the process, which is what I wanted. And it shows you how much, you have to be focused on the end goal, but at the same time, you're filling in the gaps as you go. Like everything that you were explaining is like building up to, it's everything just clicks, and you have to go through that process. And sometimes when we're building businesses, or at least in this area, I work with a lot of fashion designers who are, building their brand, or with resellers, stylists who are building their brand, and they kind of want to skip all these steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just want to get to the point that, they make an income because they have to make a living and all of that. And you have to, I always tell you, like, you're building something from nothing. You have to build the structure, and you have to have that, keep that in mind, and not put that pressure of the money, of, I have to make a living, and that you have to be very, there's a lot of things that you learn along the way, which is kind of like my next question I wanted to ask you. What are these top entrepreneur lessons you have learned along the way, which I'm sure patience has been one of them. And I love, again, how you explain it, because everything kind of, it does the work for you, because you are building a foundation that is stable, as the way that you're doing it.
Yes. And I think you already, so there's probably three things I would want to talk about here for some key lessons that I've learned. But one of the first ones really builds off of what you just said with these building blocks of building the company. And one of the best learnings, and something that we continue to utilize today with our strategies and with our growth, is looking to test something at a very small scale before putting in all of your resources, money, and time into building it out into your full product or your full design or your full line, for example. So if we had conviction in a new feature on the app, we would think about, how can we test this in a manual way before we put engineering resources into it, or before we fully commit to that idea without knowing if it's going to be helpful for the customer. So it might mean, instead of building that feature, we start off by manually interviewing or messaging our customers, asking them a certain set of questions that would indicate if that feature is going to be helpful. Or there might have been a Google form that we could launch instead of building out some sort of form in the app that would need, to acquire information, and seeing what can we do with this information without putting in a ton of resources there. So those little tests have been incredibly helpful, and they make sure that your resources and money and time can go much further, because you're not committing to something super big right away. That was definitely a great lesson. Another one is listening to the customers so closely. As I had said in my background, I do not have fashion experience. And Brian doesn't either. We both came from the tech side of finance. And so neither of us are fashion people, but our customers and our users on Pickle are the ones that tell us what's working. They're the ones that are telling us what features they like. They're also the ones that are giving us information about the popular brands, about what is trending, about the types of ways that they want to shop on the app. And that allows us to improve upon the app and make sure people are able to discover the items that they might want to actually shop. We've also been very careful to look at our customers that are starting to pop up and use Pickle. So Pickle is an app that we're very focused on local convenience. So shopping right in your neighborhood. The two main cities that we are currently live in, for the most part, are in New York City and in LA. And with that locality, it's amazing, because when you are renting something, you can rent something and you might have a last minute event, and you might be in a pickle and need an outfit. So you can get that item delivered right to your door, or you could go pick it up yourself. And that convenience factor has been an amazing unlock for now thinking about, I have access to my own personal closet, but Now I have access to the closets that are in New York City. This is an amazing way to diversify what I'm wearing without turning to fast fashion. Really exciting. But what's cool about Pickle is we are very focused on building up the market in each of these cities, but we're also available across the country. So if you live in Dallas or if you live in Minnesota and you're interested in renting from closets that are in New York and LA, you can do that and you can use our shipping method. So there is flexibility there. And what's great about having that option available is we start to see early demand with customers that are popping it up in new cities. So the reason that we ended up building and focusing on LA was because people started organically using Pickle without us marketing there. They've heard about Pickle through some of the New York girls. They saw it on social media and they started opening up their own closets in LA. They started renting from other women in New York. And they even then started renting locally from each other. And that gave us the indication of we should open up and focus on this market here because people are already doing it. So listening to the customers, using that data, super, super important. And then the last learning or advice I would give is I got this, I forget exactly who told me this, but it was another founder of some sort. And they had said, being a founder or business owner is going to have so many ups and downs, really high highs and some low lows. And that's, I'd say, probably true across anybody that's tried to start a business. And those fluctuations can happen, by the hour. It's not even just good days or bad days. It could be good hours and bad hours. And the best advice I got was try to stay as even keeled as possible throughout both extremes. If you have the best day, the best moment, really, really enjoy it and appreciate it, but take that pretty even keeled because there are going to be some challenges right around the corner. And same with if you're facing that really, really tough moment, try to again, stay as middle as you can just to really help with that kind of emotional regulation and just staying, logical and focused on the long-term build for your business.
I agree 100%. And I have to learn that one big time.
It's
You have
hard.
to stay in balance. Like
Yeah.
you do, because if not, you go crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you particularly have raised capital for the company. And I love that you said that, you first test things like, very, in a very scrappy way to see if it's worth investing the money. And I'm sure this has to do also with this, because if you're asking people for money, you have to make sure that that money is going to be used well, right? So what have you learned so far with that experience of asking for the capital and stuff?
Absolutely. It's something that Brian and I say all the time. We reflect on the time when we didn't have any capital or really limited resources. And we are so grateful for that time of not having any money, because when you are well funded or you have this influx of capital, it's easy to kind of throw money at a problem or throw resources at something before testing it in that really scrappy small sense.
Yeah.
And so when we think back on the 2.5 year stretch where we had to stretch out a very small amount of capital that we had raised from family and friends, we are really grateful for that because it forced us to do things that wouldn't scale. It forced us to do all of the really small things that build the foundation of the business ourselves so that we could learn everything from the logistics of being a courier and delivering an item from customer to customer, all the way to our customer support experience. As Brian and I answering those messages for a really long time before we were able to build out our customer support team. And without those experiences ourselves, we would not have known the best way to build the technology to integrate the couriers, or we wouldn't have known the resources and the top questions that our support team currently fields and is currently still iterating on and building today. So without capital, that was really important to know how we would effectively utilize the capital. And, once we were able to raise that money, it turned into where are we now seeing the gaps in the business that we need to put in and hire new employees that can allow us as founders to kind of elevate and become a bit more strategic. Because obviously when you're doing a lot of things yourself, you get into a lot of the tasks and then the execution. And of course, our job is to think about the business in the long term. And so since we were doing those different facets of building, we knew where we were going to have to hire employees right away. to then elevate ourselves and start building out different functions of the business, focusing on how can we make sure that we are prioritizing the end customer experience, building and getting the best engineers and product people we can, as well as scaling our organic and word of mouth growth that we're seeing on the marketing side of things, and building out our strategic influencer strategy that we use, where we basically work with these people in an unpaid capacity, which is interesting because we work with people and say, hey, we'd love to elevate your closet and we want to make sure that you're able to do that. We don't have the marketing budget that allows you to pay influencer rates. What can we do to make sure that you are monetizing and properly making money on Pickle? That adds a lot of value in that sense. So with that capital inflection, we focused mostly on building an amazing team, people that are incredibly passionate about Pickle, people that believe in our end mission and values, and who, you know, come in every day and they're really hungry to execute on their jobs, and they absolutely love building, you know, the best app that we can create.
Okay, amazing. Okay, awesome. So now for those listening who want to know more about the user side of Pickle, who would love, maybe they're designers and they have a closet full of beautiful things, or they're stylists and they have all this merchandise from, you know, photo shoots and things like that, or we have a lot of resellers also. What would you tell them about the process of lending and renting inside Pickle?
Absolutely. It's fairly straightforward. The first step is, you know, downloading the app. If you search Pickle in the App Store, it'll come up right away. And when you create your account, you're able to quickly participate on either side of the marketplace. If you want to go and rent something, you'll see a bunch of trending products right away. You can shop locally. You can go ahead and rent same day if you're interested in that. But on the lender side, you'll go to your closet tab. You'll be able to add a new item. And it's fairly similar to the listing process that you would complete on other resale platforms. You are adding the photos, the description, including the brand, setting the price. We do have some tips and tricks along the way that allow you to really elevate those listings. So something that you had mentioned with your stylists and resellers and people that have these amazing photos of those items, those are very helpful for making your listing look, more appetizing and appealing to people that might want to rent that item. So choosing those great photos that are showcasing the item styled in a really cool way and understanding how that full outfit comes together on a real person, that's super helpful to show. And that's where we often see our renters are leaning towards renting those items that are properly displayed like that. We kind of call it, almost like a copy and paste from your Instagram feed right to your Pickle closet. If you just took those awesome photos and you styled your really cool outfit, use those photos to put on your Pickle listing. And then for the description and everything, we recommend people are adding as many details as possible, helping people understand the fit of the item, helping people understand what type of occasion they might want to wear the item to. So if you upload a beautiful Ackler dress, you might be saying this is perfect for your next summer wedding that you have. Maybe recommending how you might style it and everything. And then when it gets to the pricing point of the listing, we do help our lenders think about the price point when they add in the initial retail value. So they'll put the retail value in there, and then we have a different kind of formula in the back end that allows us to recommend a price range that'll work for that specific item, depending on the category and depending on what we're seeing on the demand side of the platform. So the range that we typically see is between 10 to 20% of the retail value. That's where we kind of see that one-time wear, and people are pricing their items for a 1-week rental. So they'll go on, they'll list that item, they'll think about someone might keep this for a week, wear it one time during that week, or if it's an item that they can get multiple wears, that's awesome. And that's the way that we'll see the most competitive listings do really well on the platform.
Okay. That sounds great to me. Something that you mentioned before, I love the idea of using already the pictures, especially in this category of people, they already have these amazing pictures,
Yes.
And also something else that I like, and, what I see for resellers, specifically people who already sell like on eBay or Mercari or Poshmark, this is a passive income generating thing for them, right?
Yes.
So, part of the thrill of reselling is buying and going through that process. We love that, but it's also interesting to it's something that you already have and that you can keep making money again and again and again. And here in our community, I'm very, I'm all in with everything that could be passive income. That's why I always encourage them to do digital products and things like that. And this kind of goes into that category as well. So what would you tell them in terms of that, of the generating the passive income?
Yes, great question. It's the first thing that you would think about is, what is an item that would be in my closet that I absolutely love and wouldn't necessarily be ready to sell or potentially donate or get rid of yet. And those are the items, if you're like, I love this so much, I want to hold on to it, I want to wear it again at some point, that is likely an item that is high in demand amongst other consumers as well. It might be something that you just purchased, you had just invested in for a really fun occasion, a beautiful event, and you absolutely loved wearing it. Now you might want to switch up what you're wearing for your next couple events. So now this item might sit in your closet, and it's a great way for you to make some money on that piece again. Or it's something that is rare or something that might be vintage and really unique, and you absolutely have to keep it. But again, you can't wear it all the time. So why not circulate it and share it with your community so that you can make multiple turns of revenue on that item? So often the pieces that we'll see that are doing really well fall into this unique statement category, where they're really beautiful, fun pieces that, you're not thinking of the plain black tee or the regular pair of jeans that you have in your closet. Those are items that people are purchasing, but these really vibrant, fun colored dresses or items that might be out of your typical price point for a purchase.
Yeah.
Something where if you're looking to buy a dress to wear to a wedding or a gala coming up, or even a night out with the girls, you would have to think about it a bit more when you're looking at something that's priced around $300 or $400.
Yeah.
But if you're able to rent that item for a fraction of the price, that $40 to $60 range, that could be a really great opportunity for you to diversify. And so on that lender side, we'll see some of these really cool, elevated and trendy brands like Cult Gaia, Arsina Ori, these designers that have an elevated price point, but they don't have to be full high-end designer for you to have incredibly high demand and see that kind of return on the platform. We'll also see things that are just popular with a new silhouette or trend there. Like right now, milkmaid dresses are super popular. And so House of CB has all of these really beautiful dresses with that nice corset fitted top and the beautiful flowing bottom. And those dresses are getting rented like all the time, like crazy. And it's amazing because those are awesome pieces to have in your closet because you'd love to wear those moving forward. But then you can make a quick $30, $40, $50 on some of those items without even thinking about it. And then when you look at some of the higher end elevated brands, like what we just did, we have a wedding report that's coming out it's coming out next week. A little inside scoop there. Some of these dresses, like made by an October or Ackler or this, Redart, these dresses are on average making over $600. And that's where you're looking at it. This investment piece is something where I get the value of wearing it, being able to wear it multiple times. Now I'm circulating it and I'm easily making my money back or profiting off of these dresses, it's so cool to see.
Oh, I'm so excited about the bridal one because there's, it's such a big investment for people to make, and having also the possibility of wearing something that you really, really want to wear, it's very exciting. And for people who already have them, like you said, to rent it. I know there's so many ways to look at it. And I think it's really powerful what you guys are doing with this. I really love it. So you also I read you guys have an actual store in New York. Do you have any more stores or?
We just have the store in the West Village. It's 21 8th Ave. It's an amazing location. We get a lot of great foot traffic. The door, you can hear from the outside when you're inside, and people will walk by and go, "Pickle, oh my gosh, I've heard of it," or "Whoa, what is this?" And so it's really fun. It has some really green, beautiful, welcoming doors to come in, and some nice like floral decor in our windows right now. And it's a great place for our community to come together and do some renting in real life. The store is very similar to the app. Again, so, on the platform, it's peer-to-peer. We don't own any of the inventory that's getting circulated and that is getting rented out on the app. And the same goes in the store. we are basically sourcing all of the items that exist in the store from our community. Those are often coming from some different top closets in New York, from some creators and influencers that have some amazing pieces, and from some community members that just have these really, really cool pieces that we want to give that extra visibility to and feature those in the store. So it's a great place to come together. We also love to do some different community activations in there, some mini events and collabs with different brands. So if anyone's listening that would be open to a collab in our store or another way, would love to chat about it. But right now, that's our only store. We will likely think about opening one in LA within the next year or so, but we're really focused on building up that market and making sure we have super high quality supply out there first before we would invest in that brick and mortar.
Awesome. Well, I'm based here in Miami, in Florida, and I think that would be the next step also, the
Me
next market
too.
to
Yep.
explore, because there's so much stuff happening down here always, and we have, swim week and all kinds of
Yes.
fashion shows and things. So people are really all the time going to events, and they will be the perfect market for this kind of thing.
It's funny, Miami has had some very early promising demand that's organic. So we're eyeing that probably as our third market.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, Julia, is there anything else you want to share? I'm so happy to have you here and for you to share all this information with us. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience?
I mean, this was so great. I really appreciate your questions. I hope some of the things I talked about were helpful for your audience. If anybody is interested of course, in checking out the app, you can download it on the App Store. If you want to follow along our journey of building the company and sharing about all the trends we're seeing, you can follow us on Instagram at Shop on Pickle. And if you are interested in potentially collabing or working together or chatting with me, maybe we could share my email out with the audience.
Awesome. I'll make sure to share all that information below for you guys, all the links so you can connect and ask if you have any questions, leave them below this episode as well. If you like the episode, please like, share, and subscribe so other people get to know about Pickle and start downloading the app and start renting and lending and all of that good stuff. And thank you so much again, Julia, for being here. It's so excited to share this information with everyone. You guys, thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us today, and we will see you guys in our next episode. Okay, bye guys.